ओम शांति। मीठे बाबा ने हम सबको नया जन्म दिया।
Sweet Baba has given all of us a new birth, and he has sustained us with the jewels of knowledge. He's been the one who's made us progress in life. And the Murli, in fact, is the breath of Brahmin life. From the very first day that we received this or took Brahmin birth, it's the Murli that's been our support. And those who have love for Baba's Murli, their life is becoming day by day more elevated. What is the Murli and what is in the Murli? I'm sure that anyway all of you do have value for the Murli, but our senior and original dadis, the love that they have and had and have had for the Murli, I would like to share with you the experience of that to begin with. You may have heard that whenever anybody used to come to meet Sakar Baba, the groups that used to arrive in Madhuban, before people would arrive, and then before they would get ready, and then before having breakfast or having eaten anything after their journey, they would come to say hello to Babi. And the first thing Baba would say when he would meet them is, "Have you read today's Murli?" And he would say to them, "If you haven't read the Murli, then I'll meet you after you've read the Murli. Baba won't meet you before then. And don't have breakfast or eat even before you've read today's Murli." And the dadis too, even in the midst of so much service, not just once, but many times they would read the Murli a day. I would see Dadi Kumarika, Dadi Prakashmani that is, she would read the Murli before class, then come to class and read the Murli to us. Actually, the original Murli used to be the song, and then Baba would say Om Shanti and start the Murli. This system of question and answer wasn't there in the original Murli. And the last line would be Yad Pyar and Namaste. But Dadiji's speciality was that she would study the Murli very well, and before relating the Murli to the class, she would always ask the class a question or some questions related to things that had come up in the Murli. And until somebody gave the right answer, she would keep asking everybody in the class, this one and this one and this one, okay, what was the answer? What do you think the answer was? This was her style of reading the Murli. And the terminology we would use is, we would say that Dadi wasn't relating the Murli, but she was dancing with the Murli and making all of us dance. Everything she would clarify, she would tell us what Baba's intention was behind saying what he had said. She would be explaining in that way the Sakar Murli, the importance and the value of that was something that we learned from the way in which Dadiji read the Murli. Before starting to read the Murli in class, she would give us a précis, if you like, of Baba's main teachings. since 1976, I started this duty of typing the Murli. I surrendered and came to Madhuban in 1972. I was 15 only at the time and come straight from school. And it was my wish that I should learn how to type the Murli. And so I put an application in that I would like to learn how to type. And Dadiji said to me, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to achieve by learning to type? First, you have to learn Sindhi. And why? Because Baba's Murlis, the actual language is not Sindhi. It's written in Hindi, but the writing itself is in Sindhi script. And so the first assignment that he gave me was to learn Sindhi, to read and write Sindhi. So I learned to read and write, and then I learned how to type. And Didi used to also, Dadiji used to read the Murli, and Didi, Manmohini, would be taking notes in such a way that she would be extracting question and answers. And when the Murli would finish, the whole class, she used to say, I'm gonna make the whole class fail by asking them questions from the Murli that they'll never be able to answer. And they would be such unique questions. It's true, nobody in the class would be able to come up with the answer. And if somebody by chance did get a right answer, they would get a double toddy that day. So when I learned Sindhi, Didi used to call me to her, and she gave me her diary, her notebook, and she said to me, go away, take my notebook, and whatever you like from it, type it up and bring it back to me. Because I had learned how to I'd learned Sindhi, I'd learned to type, and so the full service of taking care of typing the Murli was from 76. The person responsible at that time for answering all the correspondence that came from different centers was done by Didi, and Baba before that was Baba. And have you seen Baba's handwriting? Anybody who has, raise their hand. It's red handwriting, red pencil handwriting.
बाबा के लाल अक्षरों के पत्र और मुरलियां जो बाबा खुद लिखते थे.
Baba used to write the letters himself personally, and he would give his. Baba never took any helpers. Baba used to personally handwrite answers to all the letters that came to Madhuban. But because Baba's handwriting was a little illegible, what the Ishu Daddy and Didi, what they would do is they would write underneath it in another color more clearly what Baba had written. And so when Baba became Avyakt in 1969, then Didi took over that role of answering the letters. And after 1973, when I'd learned Sindhi and all of that, then Didi made me her companion in answering. In those days, foreign service hadn't started, so it was just the India centers that were writing to Madhuban. And so what I used to do is to type out the question and answer every day from Didi's notebook. And so what would happen is that anybody who wrote to Madhuban, they would get an answer in handwriting, 30-40 letters a day by hand, handwritten answers, and then second page would be the question answers, the typed version. So I did this service for 2 or 3 years alongside Didi Manmohini, and then in 1976 I received the full responsibility of the Murli. And then to bring some newness into the class, into the Murli, because when we read the Murli straight, sometimes things are not always so clear. And so, what are the main dharnas? What is actually the purpose and the essence of what each Murli is? So, all of this was introduced from around 78, 79. This question, answer, and essence of dharna, basically the main message that Baba was trying to convey. The blessing that was added on, that started many years later. And when Didi Manmohini became Avyakt in, I think, 81 or 83, after that, I also became responsible for post. And now, of course, it's internet, the age of internet, and so, it's not handwritten answers anymore. But post and all correspondence, personal correspondence. But the coming back to the Murlis, the Dadis have really studied and gone into the depths of the Murli, and it's on that basis that they have fixed their number in the Rosary of Victory, the Rosary of 8. It's not their Lokik studies and education, not their study of any scriptures or religious things, but just Baba's Murli is what has enabled them to claim that status. And so what is the magic in the Murli that Baba is saying to us again and again now? Children, don't miss the Murli, not even for a day miss the Murli. Our Baba, Shiv Baba, he is Trikardarshi, he had Trinetri and Trimurti. These are his titles. We heard Baba's Murli, for example, today, and I'm sure your attention was drawn. About this Murli that we heard today is a Murli from about 45 years back, 1966-65. And today, Baba knew the current times and the current situation. Imagine Baba, the Murli from the 65, but Baba would have that foresight to see the future. And today we're seeing practically a demonstration. This is happening and that happened. Nuclear, atomic energy and all of that wasn't really so much in vogue, but Baba said they're not going to stop making it. One is going to say don't make it, and the other one is going to say you throw it in the ocean, and then we'll stop. And so really Baba's Murlis are, in a sense, he saw the future and then he related the Murli. Baba knew the things Sakar Baba said in those Murlis. We're really practically today seeing those things become a reality. And Avyak Baba, which includes Brahma Baba's complete form, he's saying to us, anything could happen, anytime, make this preparation, be ever ready. And so to make the children fearless, to make them worthy to stand on the stage of the world. Those who listen to Baba's Murli, understand the Murli with love, they can become equal to Baba and do the type of service that Baba would do. And so in order to bring us up to the same level as Baba, Baba has given us the Murli. To love the Murli, to love the one who relates the Murli. Somebody who has really understood the depth of Baba's Murli, that's the means by which to come close in your stage to Baba. The good fortune, the incredible fortune that I've had to really play with Baba's Murli all these years, all the jewels that I've played with, I really feel that my intellect has just learnt to think in a completely positive way. I don't have questions about anything. Why is this happening? How's that happening? Because Baba, with a lot of forecast, a vision of great forecast, Baba puts things very clearly in front of us, but how much we catch it, how much we pick it up, we need to, and how much we put into our lives practically. Today, Baba used the word accurate. We need to practically bring things into our life and have that honesty that what is in the Murli should come into my life, so that my life becomes a living proof of what the Murli is. If we say to somebody, God is teaching us, and they would say, of course, what, you think you're something special that God's teaching you? They won't believe it just by speaking, just by us saying it. However, if Baba's versions have been inculcated into my life, I have a demonstration of being completely carefree. I have no tension. I have no fluctuation. Then my life will show that somebody unique is teaching this person and preparing them. And what has Baba taught us? There are 4 main things Baba says that I teach you children. I don't teach you too much, just 4 things. The first thing Baba wants, the first wish of Baba's is all children should become free from all bondages. Only when they freed themselves from bondages can they do service in the way that Baba does service, in an equal way. Each one of us has really created a lot of bondages. And the biggest bondage is the bondage of the mind. My mind is very naughty. My mind wanders around. My mind is mischievous. It doesn't do what it needs to do. So the biggest bondage is the bondage of the mind. And so the person who has cut away the bondage of the mind, they can conquer everything. After that, there's the bondage of the body, of wealth, of possessions, of relations. And when souls are totally bound and tied by all these bondages in Kali Yuga, people become very, very sorrowful. And so when an imprisoned soul can never experience happiness, this is why in Baba's Murlis, to all of us, Baba has related many methods for us to free our mind, to free us from the bondage of the mind. Then the second bondage Baba has to free us from relationships, possessions, facilities. Baba wants us to be free from all these bondages. And for that, Baba has given us Gyan, knowledge, understanding. The first subject is, in fact, the subject of knowledge. And knowledge actually is given to us so that we can experience a stage in life of being free. If after coming into Gyan, I create a new karmic account, then we would say, in effect, they don't have Gyan. What Gyan? They haven't understood or got or the Gyan that it's time to go home, and that actually I have to let go, to fly home. I have to let go of the branch. There was a story Baba used to give. There were some parrots and some birds sitting at a tree, and they were holding this branch very tightly with their claws. And whoever would be flying past, they would say, free us, can you help to free us? And everybody would say to them, but who's tying you? You're holding the branch with your own claws. The birds had caught hold of the branch, and at the same time they were saying, free us. But the reality is, let go and you will be free. And Baba is saying what to us also? when you children, when you came onto this stage of the world, you had no bondages. The mind was in your control. You didn't have sanskars. You didn't have bondages. It's my mind. I came. We didn't have sanskars. But as we played our part, as we came into action and interaction, we came into more and more bondages, tied up. And in Kali Yuga, it was as if we were completely tied up in all these bondages, and then a vast amount of sorrow. Some people proclaim about their post, some position and job. Some people talk about their relationship, how they've got to do this and that for their relation. Some people have the bondage of their possessions. I've got this and I've got that. And the last bondage of I'm like this and I'm like that. If you revise the entire knowledge that Baba is giving us of soul, supreme soul, numerous births, the tree, the gyan to go home, the knowledge of karma, what is the secret, what's behind all of this gyan? The secret is just this, that the soul should become free. Do not consider anybody to belong yours. To become stable in your own form and free from everyone else, this is Gyan. And a soul who really is a knowledgeable soul, who has understood this, a Gyani soul, an enlightened soul. In the Gita also it says, an enlightened soul is, a knowledgeable soul is one who is loved dearly by me. A knowledgeable soul, an enlightened soul, is their own friend. And if they don't use their knowledge, then they are their own worst enemy. An enlightened soul, a knowledgeable soul, creates a friendship with themselves first and foremost. And what's that friendship? That friendship is that I, the soul, no person, no possession, no nature, no sanskars of mine, of others, I am not going to be tied by any of those, and I am going to live a life where I am totally free and independent. My mind should be so much in my control that I should be able to stabilize it where I want it to stabilize it, when I want to stabilize it. This is really what that Baba is trying to teach us. Sakar Baba, Avyakt Baba. Baba wants us to be, has given us gyan, knowledge, to be free from the bondage. In the early days, Didi used to make us do a workshop. She used to say, Gyan is light, knowledge is light. But what might did you receive from this light? What power, in other words? For example, we get this light, but what's the power? The darkness disappears. We're receiving warmth from that light. And so if I, the soul, have received this light, I have the torch in my hand. A person who has torch in their hand, who has the light in their hand, then the result of that is that that soul won't stumble or bump into anything. And so if I get hurt by anything, if I'm banging into anything, clashing with anything, then it means that really I don't actually have knowledge, I don't have light. In Kali Yuga, a knowledgeable soul, if I experience sorrow or hurt or peacelessness, then the reality is actually I don't have the light of knowledge. Baba, in fact, has given us gyan, whatever it's gyan of the gathering, our sanskars, our relationships. Baba has given us gyan, knowledge of about everything, information about everything. And so all the Murlis we read, the very first subject is the subject of gyan, knowledge. And if knowledge comes into our lives, then this bird can fly away very easily. No bondage. And so this subject, if you really want to clarify it a bit more, you could say there is an attainment power that comes. So take for example the knowledge that the Supreme Soul is knowledgeable but not omnipresent. And as soon as you heard this knowledge, you were able to have a relationship easily with Baba, because if he was omnipresent, then you would have to, who would you have a relationship? But because there's one, it's easy to have all relationships with one. And so when there's relationship, there would be attainment. Somebody who has the knowledge of omnipresence, who believes in omnipresence, they cannot forge a relationship with God. Whatever knowledge you've heard, whether it's through the course or the knowledge you relate to others at the museums, what's the aim and object, the might that's behind it? That it is now time to go home. Our part is about to finish. The cycle is about to finish. We have to go home. Therefore, we must become free from the strings, the ties, the ropes of our bondage. We must become karmatit. This is why Baba teaches us, I am a soul, I am a soul, I am a soul. Why? So that I, the soul, can become detached from this dirt, this dust of this body. The Supreme Soul is your Father. We've received that introduction, so let me forge that relationship, let me take that attainment and become free. If after coming into Gyan, if I, the soul, forge a new connection, a new relationship, and how much Gyan does Baba give us about that? That new relationships are made and formed on the basis of two things. One is if I'm influenced or impressed by someone, then I start to remember that person, impressed. And then then I develop love, affection, a fondness. So these are all the consequences of being impressed. This is what happens after you get impressed. And then you start remembering them. And then the second is a kind of contempt for somebody. Then also you remember that person. If they come in front of you, even if they're not in front of you, this person, he's always doing this, he does that, his defects you remember. And so subtly you forge a relationship with that person too, because you're remembering them again and again. That's why in Hindi there is a saying, let there not be friendship, let there not be an enmity. Too much friendship also is dangerous, because we get influenced by the color of company. We get impacted by some influence. And same thing with the whole concept of enmity. That person becomes in front of us again and again. And so let me be a soul who is free from bondages. Such a soul would not have what you call a best friend. They wouldn't hang out with anyone specific. They wouldn't use language such as, so-and-so's really good, I like the way they relate things. This is not the language that the soul who is free would use. Baba in fact teaches us that everybody is good. If I use the language so-and-so is very good, I find someone to be special, then that means actually I lack knowledge. I'm not a Jnani soul. And because Baba says everybody is special, and my intellect should be such that I shouldn't have a special interaction or connection with somebody. And alternatively, there are some people you can't stand. Even the sight of them you can't stand. And so Baba doesn't want us to get into any of those two poles. So Baba's knowledge is making us free from this. And the second subject, yoga. We have yoga, we sit for yoga every day. Some souls say, oh, I really enjoy yoga. I'm not really into knowledge so much, but I like sitting for yoga or meditation. And actually what that indicates, the seed of yoga is knowledge. And so what that actually indicates is that it's not accurate yoga I'm having. And if I have a bondage with anybody, if I have a special connection with somebody, then the reality is I can't have yoga. And Baba says again and again, however, your main subject is yoga. Why? Because we know that without yoga, the soul cannot become completely pure. And if it doesn't become pure, if it doesn't become how it was when it came onto this earth, then how can such a soul return with Baba? There are so many souls in the world and they're not having yoga, but all souls ultimately have to go home, and so there's a difference. Those who have yoga and become pure, they will not have the experience of any type of punishment. Today Baba mentioned about Dharamraj. You're not scared hearing about Dharamraj, are you? Baba says the land of Dharamraj is not a separate place as such. However, if you perform some kind of action that's not quite right, that's contrary to the maryadas, that shouldn't really happen. It's happened for some reason because of some bondage of some sanskar. Then at the end, in the final moments, that wrong action will come in front of you in like a mirror, and it might be for a few seconds, but you will feel it so intensely as if you've done this wrong act for births and births, and you will experience such sorrow at that moment, repentance. That's why Baba says, have yoga and finish all the wrong actions, the effect of all the wrong actions that you've had. Yoga is actually there to finish the sinful actions, to cool the senses, to make the soul satopradhan, to take the soul to its complete perfect stage. That's why Baba says, sit for yoga with alertness, and don't just have yoga, but experiment with yoga. Use the power of yoga. We have power, but a situation comes in front of us and we don't use it, then what was the point? Baba says to his children, you have a very big power. You have the power of pure thoughts. And then along with those, the power of pure thoughts, you have the power of God. And so through yoga, the power of God, the power of pure thought, the combination of these two, and Baba has given such a good introduction of himself to us, that all of us actually should have this one intoxication, a big intoxication. What is that? That I, the soul, have a direct connection with God. It's not an indirect one, it's a direct connection. Any religion you go to, any lane of bhakti, it's always through somebody, through a guru, through a head of that organization. But even in bhakti, even they don't have a direct connection. Even when the founding fathers gave knowledge of the Supreme Soul, it came to us through the founding father. But at the confluence age, each and every child who is Baba's, each one has received this direct connection. You don't need a third party in between. And if you do have a connection, then the medium is Brahma Baba. So say for example, you can't remember the point, it's too slippery, then Baba tells us to use this support, and he says, through him you can remember him. Don't remember him though, remember me through him. And so those who have a direct line, who have a direct connection, they stay very content. If the light closes, flickers again and again, it means I don't have a direct light connection. These days, there's a great expansion of people who can do all sorts of healing and special spiritual abilities they have, and so they impress us sometimes. But Baba has given us such complete knowledge of himself, name, form, his virtues, his place, and using that knowledge, you can have yoga very easily. You sit on the throne with the mind and intellect. The soul then doesn't physically go, but it's still here. But with the mind and intellect, we have that connection. As soon as I sit in the soul conscious stage, it's the string of the mind and intellect comes into my hand, and I can then take that and give it to Baba. And that connection is such that whatever dirt there is inside the soul, it begins to itself be extracted. And how? Baba gives the example. Just as a jeweler, when he puts an intense fire on a furnace, a gold requires a very high, intense furnace. In India, for example, jewelry and gold is a big business. And so to make the jewelry, the gold has to be completely melted. And so the fire has to be very strong. And the fire is so intense that as soon as the gold is put in it, it becomes like water, liquid, that much. And what happens is that anything that's mixed in it, any other metal that's mixed in it, it just instantly becomes separated. And the gold is on one side and the alloy on the other. And then the gold is then collected in some or another container and is given its shape. And that's how the jewelry is made. And gold in the Sangam Yug, at the confluence, this is Baba's job too, to remove the alloy. What alloy? When we were from Golden Age to Silver Age, we had silver alloy. Then in the Copper Age, we had copper-aged alloy. And in the Iron Age, we picked up iron alloy. Completely black. The gold became completely black. The real gold, when the soul was completely Sattva-pradhan, taking birth after birth, coming into different relationships, descending, when there was complete alloy in the soul, then Baba comes and lights the furnace for the gold to be extracted again. And all you have to do is put yourself in that furnace for a little while. Do yoga, do tapasya in a very intense way. This is why yoga is called volcano. Your yoga should be like a volcano, that powerful, that intense and immense. That whatever your past sanskars are, with this power of yoga, the fire of yoga, it goes. Yesterday I used to have storms of lust. Yesterday I had storms of anger. But today I've got Baba's knowledge. I have yoga, and those habits disappear. And why? They say that actually, if I'm having accurate yoga, then there will be certain results. If I say I'm having yoga, but my vision is still impure, my senses are not cool, I'm still getting angry, then actually am I having yoga? Baba puts a lot of importance on yoga. He says, get merged in my remembrance. To become merged in that way, lost in love. That is yoga. And if I'm having accurate yoga, then you will see it'll become visible. The amount of purity in the soul will become visible. The clarity will become visible. The value of the soul will increase. And when the soul becomes completely pure, then the soul will just leave the body and return home. That's why the second subject that Baba emphasizes a lot in the Murli is yoga. And when we pay attention to these two subjects, Gyan and Yoga, then Baba teaches us a third subject. We have to pay attention to having dharna. In fact, that's our religion, to have good dharna. I'm not a Hindu, not a Christian, but my religion is to have dharna, to have purity, peace. And souls who have such dharna, who are inculcating all this, Avyak Baba is not giving us Gyan anymore, but he's underlining in the Avyak Murlis the dharna. Actually, Gyan you won't find now in the Avyak Murlis. Yoga also, it's visible. Yoga and Gyan, these two subjects Baba has been teaching us in the Sakar Murli. But when Baba became Avyakt, Baba was seeing what's left. What are the weaknesses that still remain? Baba said today we have to establish the deity religion. Baba explained today the difference between the deities of the subtle region and that the deities of this world are human beings with divine virtues. And to establish a true religion, a deity religion, you need the true dharnas, whether those dharnas of all the different divine virtues or purity, when those virtues could be introversion, maturity, cheerfulness, entertainment. It's a long list of different virtues. But we have to become complete in all the virtues. We have to become complete and full of 16 degrees. Just when the moon, you may have seen the moon a couple of days ago, the moon was massive, it was a complete full moon. And so the soul needs to attain the full complete stage. It's not that literally there are 16 talents you need to learn, 16 degrees complete, but it's just a symbolic of becoming complete. I should have all virtues, all talents, nothing should be missing. And Baba also calls that as all-rounder. All talents, all virtues, to be perfect in that, complete in all that. That's why it's been last 40 odd years that Baba's been giving us teachings in this area of what dharnas we need. Child, do this, do this, do this. Every Murli Baba draws our attention to some more another dharna. In the Murli we just had, the last live Murli, what was the special dharna Baba drew our attention to? Stay in the color of the company of one. Holy means purity. Holy means past, is past. To put a full stop, not to think about the past. And so Baba drew again our attention to our dharnas, to specific dharnas. And then Baba also said, have good feelings, good pure feelings, good wishes for everybody. Everybody's our family. Don't look at anyone's defects. Have harmony in your sanskars. If you don't have if you don't unify, you have to unify and show yourself as a unified force. And so pick up any of Avyak Baba's Murlis and you will see that there's a lot of underlining of the dharna. Because why? We have to still yet to establish the true religion. Baba has said these things in in Sakar too. If you pick up any Sakar Murli,
आप लोगों ने सुने, आज प्रश्न के अंदर एक शब्द का स्पष्टीकरण था.
you may have heard there were three things that Baba brought up in of Dharna, of the Avyak Murli of Sunday, and today Baba brought that up in the Sakar Murli, the thing of accuracy.
व्यक्त बाबा ने
Baba said on Sunday's Murli, alert, attractive, active.
सत्य धर्म के लिए बाबा तैयार कर रहे हैं.
And so Baba is preparing all of us for the true religion. And you know, when it comes to religion, you have to tolerate something, you have to face something, you have to merge something. A religion cannot be established without effort. Whatever religions have been founded and established, all the founders, we all know their biographies, they've had to tolerate a lot on a personal level. And after they've gone, there's been expansion in that religion, but during their lifetime, they've had to tolerate a lot. They haven't witnessed the joy of the expansion. And Brahma Baba, the first father, the original father of this, the one through whom the original eternal deity religion, he himself had to tolerate a lot. And then when he left and he departed after that expansion took off, and the sustenance,
अव्यक्त रूप में
now Baba is sustaining that in the avyakt form. And so to establish a true religion, this is what Baba's third, this is why Baba is emphasizing the third subject of dharna. Each child, their eyes, their face, their lips, everything should be as delicate as a lotus flower, and also means what? Lotus also means while staying in the midst of negativity and dirt, I'm detached from it. I haven't left or abandoned anything. I'm doing everything home, family, and in the midst of it, I'm detached and I'm blooming.
कर रहा है सबको, अट्रैक्शन कर रहा है.
And so I'm attracting everybody.
सब हमारी धारणाओं का सबूत है कि हम सब के बीच में
This is all the proof of our dharna,
खुशबूदार होकर के रहें.
that we can stay fragrant.
फिर आती है चौथी, जो पाया है वो बांटो.
And then the fourth subject, whatever you have attained, share it. Service. In other words, godly services.
विस्तार से अभी सुना रहा है बच्चे.
Baba is giving us such detail of everything
वाचा
now.
सेवा तो बहुत विस्तार को पा रही है, लेकिन समय आ गया है.
And service through the words, that's very expansive. But the time now is coming that now combine three types of service.
पहले मनसा
Mind. Your mind must be very powerful.
वाला सामने आए, आपकी मनसा से वो कंट्रोल में आ जाए.
Your mind should be so powerful that someone with a mischievous, fluctuating mind comes in front of you and you stabilize them. Then give them gyan, knowledge, donation,
सेवा की
and then with your virtues imprint and impress upon them the attainment.
के पीछे ऑब्जेक्ट क्या है?
And what is the object of the subject of service? What's the aim?
राज्य
Oh,
स्थापित करना है. धर्म
that we have to establish a new kingdom. Along with a religion, we have to establish a kingdom. Without service, you cannot become a king. It is service that enables us to have a status, a kingly, a royal status. However much subjects you create, you become
चौथी सब्जेक्ट
a king. And this is why service is also an important subject. It's the fourth subject, but Brahmins have taken up very well. People are very, very attentive to service, and sometimes even so that Baba says that even whilst doing service, then obstacles come in service, especially if you haven't got dharna. Service can disturb you. This is why Baba says become strong in the first three subjects and then do service.
तीनों सब्जेक्ट आपकी मजबूत है तो चौथी सब्जेक्ट आप नेचुरल होती रहेगी, करते रहेंगे.
If you are good in three subjects, then naturally you will be doing the fourth subject of service, because whoever comes in front of you, your words, your eyes, the way you walk, the way you talk, it will do something for them. It will be serviceable. Service is the very breath of Brahman life. And so stay busy doing service. Do it with your heart. Because service brings you blessings.
समय आत्माएं संपर्क संबंध में आती हैं, बाबा के बच्चे बनती हैं,
and souls come close to Baba, they connect to Baba and they claim their kingdom, they claim their right to the kingdom. And so the kingdom is being established through service, the religion is being established through dharana. To go home, we need jnana and yoga. If Baba sometimes says, if someone doesn't listen to knowledge, but just has yoga, they will at least come home to me. They may not go to the kingdom, but at least they'll come to me. Their boat will go across. And Baba said, today I will send some souls back home and the rest of you I'll send to Sukhdam. So in one Murli, Baba teaches us these 4 subjects, how merciful Baba is. He doesn't say to us, go to this subject, go to this teacher for this subject and this teacher. When you go to Lokik schools, you have a separate teacher for a separate subject. And each subject has its own. And sometimes children are better in one subject than another. And then they fail because overall they haven't got the marks. But Baba became our father, gave us birth, became the mother, sustained us by the then he became a teacher and himself personally taught us. And then as a Satguru, he is making us elevated. So such elevated directions that if we really were to follow them, then the influence of other people's ideas and dictates would not influence me.
सतगुरु ने श्रेष्ठ मत देकर हम सबको
And so the Satguru gave us elevated directions and made us free from the dictates of our own minds, the dictates, directions of others. Because the Murli has all the directions for everything. What should I do? What should I not do? What Srimad? I don't need to take any advice from anybody. The Murli gives me all the answers. It's God's Murli. Let me listen to it with that love. The answer to everything in you, if you have a question, you will get the answer in the Murli. You start reading open your eyes and you read the Murli and you'll be amazed that actually the thing that you see is answer to your question, your situation. Because Baba sees the future before giving the Murli. People ask me sometimes, how do you select the blessing? It seems to be right connected to the Murli of the day. Raju Bhai doesn't fix the Murli date and match up the blessings. It just happens by chance. The only kind of intervention, I suppose, if you like, is if there's a festival coming up, then the date Murli would be adjusted to fall on that day. So, for example, you may have noticed 2 days ago we had a Murli in which Baba spoke about Holi. You see, and so when I'm going through the Murlis, if I'm not attentive, then that Murli gets missed, and maybe it will come 2 weeks later, and then you won't feel the value of it because it's out of date. So that I pay attention to. That the festival for which Baba has pertained that Murli, it should be given on that right date. But the slogan, the blessing, all of these things, really it just happens by chance. Baba is giving us with an unlimited vision. If, for example, today you didn't do Amrit Vela, for some reason you became careless or lazy or something,
आपके लिए आएगी,
you'll notice that in the Murli that day, Baba
आज
would
बाबा
talk
ने कहा
about that.
बच्चे तुमने ये गलत किया, ठीक नहीं, मिस नहीं करना
Baba
चाहिए।
would draw our attention that we shouldn't miss Amrit
कई
Vela,
भाइयों
for
का अनुभव
example,
है
in the
मैंने देखा
Murli.
है कि
Many
जिस
brothers
दिन
and
कोई
sisters
गलती
have that
मेरे से होने
experience.
वाली या हुई,
The
उसी
day
दिन बाबा
that
कान पकड़ते हैं,
there's I'm gonna make
उसी
a
दिन की मुरली
mistake
में
or I
बाबा
have
कहते
made a
हैं।
mistake,
ये
that
कोई मैं नहीं
day
सेट
it's in
करता
the
हूँ, बाबा
Murli.
तो सारी मुरलियाँ सेट
I
करते हैं एक
don't
साथ।
decide which Murli
3
goes
महीने
on
पहले
which day,
हमको
it
चाहिए,
just happens.
पूरे विश्व को एक साथ
We
लेकर
work with the Murlis 3 months in advance
जून
so that
महीने
the
की मुरली
world
मैं अभी तैयार कर रहा हूँ, मार्च चल रहा है।
on the same page.
मैं 3 महीने
We're in
पहले क्या
March
प्रिपेयर
and
सोच
I'm
के रखूँ या क्या
preparing
होगा कैसे, हाँ ये जरूर
the
याद है
Murli
कि जून
of
महीने में
June,
24
Murlis
को
of
भी
June.
मम्मा डे आएगा, तो
The
मम्मा
only
डे
thing
पर
I
मम्मा की
remember, of
मुरली
course,
करनी
is that
है
on
सबको।
Mama's Day we need to have a Mama's Murli on the 24th of June.
राखी कब आएगी,
But other than
जन्माष्टमी कब
that,
होगी, दिवाली कब होगी, उसका ध्यान
Rakhi,
रखना पड़ता है
Janmashtami,
बच्चे को।
Diwali, all of that I have to pay attention and set the
बाकी और
dates
कोई
on those
मुरली
specific
ऐसा
Murli.
नहीं करते,
But otherwise,
आज
everything is just
जो आ जाते हैं, जो डेट पर
by
आ जाते हैं।
chance. And the
जिस
blessings
जो
and the slogans,
आवश्यकता
they're
है
also in a
बाबा को
list and
उससे
they
पता
just get
चलता है,
matched
अच्छा ये
up.
उत्तर तो मैंने दिया है, ये तो मुरली के अंदर है।
And so Baba gives us the
तो
answers.
बाबा की मुरली को अगर हम सब बहुत श्रद्धा से, भावना से,
And so if we
भगवान
really
के
take
बोल
Baba's
हैं,
Murli
बोल हैं,
and
भगवान क्या
really
चाहता है,
value the sacredness that these are the
सुनते और
versions
पढ़ते
of
हैं, एक दिन
God,
भी मिस नहीं
what
करोगे,
does He
कोई आप
want
बना
from
लिया
me? If we listen, we read, we don't
तो
miss a
हर
day, we've
पेपर
made
का
it our discipline,
समाधान, हर
then
परीक्षा का
there is
उत्तर
the answer for
उसी मुरली
every
में
situation, for every test is in that
बहुत
Murli of the
फायदा
day.
देती है हर समस्या में।
It gives a lot of benefit.
इसलिए
I get the
मुरली
answer
3
for every
महीने पहले हमने
situation.
रिवाइज की है,
This is why,
सब कुछ
even though the
उसमें
Murli
डाल
is
डाला
3 months
है,
earlier, put the
जिस
blessing, the
दिन बाबा
question
की मुरली
answer,
रिवाइज होती है उस दिन मैं
the
जरूर
day
याद
that
करता हूँ, मैं मिस
that's
नहीं
why
करता,
I
मैंने
will
पढ़ लिया है।
always, I don't miss the Murli. Even though I've read
उससे
and I've
क्या फायदा
prepared the
होता है
Murlis,
कि
on that day I
सारे दिन
still
के
make
लिए
sure
भोजन
I
है,
hear the day's Murli. Because that
मन को
Murli
अच्छे
is
संकल्पों
pertinent to
का
that
फूल
day and
ताज़ा
it
करता
is the meal
है, मुरली से
for
मिलता
the
है।
mind to have good
अगर
thoughts.
कोई भी
Where
अगर
does the
संकल्प
mind
का
get
वार
that?
होने वाला
Food.
होगा,
It's
बिना
meal.
खाया हुआ है,
If there's
तो
going to be an
तुम्हारी
attack
आत्मा
from
समर्थ है,
some area
खाएगी
of Maya that day,
और
of
वर्तमान
waste of some
समय
sort,
माया
if
का
I've eaten
सबसे
my
बड़ा
food, I will have the
आतंक
strength to
संकल्पों के
withstand
रूप
it.
में ही होता है।
The biggest type of attack that we
व्यर्थ
have these
संकल्पों
days
की
is of
लाइन कहाँ
waste
से खड़ी
thoughts.
होती, ये क्यों
And
हुआ,
where does that
ये
begin
कैसे
from?
हुआ,
Why
इसने
did this
क्यों ऐसा कर
happen?
लिया,
How did
नहीं
that
करना
happen?
चाहिए,
Why did
क्यों,
so and
क्या,
so do
कैसे,
that? Shouldn't have done it.
कब,
All
कहाँ,
these questions.
क्यों, क्या, कैसे,
When, why,
कब और
how?
कहाँ, ये 5 प्रश्न।
These 5
अगर मुरली का
questions,
आप
they
मंथन
are the
करना
ones.
चाहते हो ना, समर्थ
If you
संकल्पों से
churn the
संपन्न
Murli,
बनना
if
चाहते
you
हो,
want
तो यही 5
become
प्रश्न
full
किसी
of
भी बात
powerful
पर आप
thoughts, then you should ask these same questions about one point
आपको सब
of the Murli.
विचार सागर मंथन चलने लगेगा।
And then your churning will start. It'll roll or
ऐसे
begin
ही
to
व्यर्थ
roll.
संकल्पों की क्यों भी इन्हीं 5 प्रश्नों से खड़ी होती है, इसलिए बाबा कहता है बच्चे
And the
मुरली का
queue of
फूल
waste thoughts also starts with the 5 questions too. And that's
संकल्पों
why
को
Baba
व्यर्थ
says,
नहीं
put a
करने
full
की
stop.
बहुत बड़ी तुम्हारे पास शक्ति है। कुछ
Don't
भी
let
देखो,
your
कुछ भी
powerful
सुनो,
thoughts
ड्रामा
leak.
देखो,
This put a full stop. This is a big
मुझे
power
कोई
you
भी
have.
प्रकार
Whatever
का
you
प्रश्न
see,
करना,
just say
सब
drama's
बाबा ने
accurate. I
कहा
don't
है।
need to question anything. Everything is fine. Everything
हम
is okay.
बच्चे निश्चिंत
Baba's
स्थिति
sitting.
में
He
रहें,
knows what's
अच्छी
happening.
स्थिति में रहें,
We children have to stay
उसके लिए
in a
बाबा की
stage
मुरली ही
that's very
आधार है।
carefree.
अच्छी स्थिति और कहीं से नहीं
That's
बनेगी,
what
कोई
the
व्यक्ति बना ही नहीं
Murli
सकता।
is for.
अगर कोई
No human
क्लासेस भी हम
being can
सुन रहे
help us
हैं,
create a
क्लासेस से
good
अगर हमें कोई फायदा मिल रहा है,
stage. And even
तो उस
classes,
क्लासेस का
okay, you
बेस
might hear
मुरली
something
है,
that's
क्योंकि
benefit,
मुरली के
but
आधार
then
पर
the
क्लास कराना
basis
है।
of the
मैं जानता
class
हूँ
is the
उसी से लाभ
Murli.
मिलता है। कोई अपनी कहानियाँ सुना रहे हो,
If someone
अपनी
starts
बातें
telling
सुना
you
रहे
his
हो,
own stories in
अपनी
his
सुना रहे
classes,
हो,
telling you their own things, then actually you're not really
इसलिए
going to
बाबा
take
की
a deep
मुरली को
level of
सिर में
benefit.
रख करके
And that's why Baba's
बहुत
Murli, let it
प्यार
be the
से, स्नेह
closest,
से,
most
एक
precious,
बार नहीं,
sacred thing for me.
मम्मा हमेशा कहती थी मैं 20 बार मुरली पढ़ती थी,
Mama used to read the Murli 20 times.
और दादी जी को मैंने जब देखा
And
कि मुरली
Dadiji,
हाथ में,
whenever I
रात
used to
में
see her with a
सोने
spare
गई,
minute,
सुबह
she had the
उठी,
Murli in her
कोई आ
hand.
गया,
Open
कभी
her
मुरली
eyes in
का
the
कोई पत्र
morning,
लिख
she'd
रही
have
है,
the
मुरली का
Murli.
सार लिख रही है,
She'd be she's writing a letter, she's got the Murli in one hand, somebody's come to see us, she's got the Murli, she's used the Murli at every step.
मैंने कहा, मैं जब कभी-कभी कहता हूँ, नशे की बात सुनाता हूँ आपको, मैंने यूनिवर्सिटी नहीं देखी, मैंने कॉलेज नहीं देखे,
I've never seen a university, I've never seen a college of the world, but I'm a godly student of this university.
किसी भी यूनिवर्सिटी में अगर आज कोई टॉपिक पर हमको लेक्चर मिले तो हम डरेंगे.
If you give me any topic in any university, I wouldn't be afraid. I won't think, oh, look at these professors and vice chancellors. I've never studied, I'm not educated. How can I do that? God Himself is teaching me. I'm a godly student. I've got knowledge of everything.
दुनिया के
And so it doesn't matter what big people of the world are sitting there. I can give a lecture in front of them, no problem. Why? Because the ocean of knowledge, the bestower of knowledge has given me knowledge that people out there don't have. We should really drink knowledge and grind knowledge so deeply that actually we shouldn't need to give examples of even Lokic scriptures or Lokic things. We should become the authority of just this pure, true knowledge, the experience of knowledge, and then speak from our mouth.
बनेंगे कैसे जब तक कोई
And how will we become an authority of knowledge? Until you use something, you don't become an authority. Until you don't experiment with it, you don't become an authority of that thing. And
drama का ज्ञान है, आत्मा का ज्ञान है, परमात्मा का ज्ञान
knowledge of the drama, the soul, supreme soul, actions, use it.
है. हर आत्मा का अपना कर्म है. कोई का कर्म देखो,
Every soul has their own karma, their own action. If you see someone's actions that are wrong, don't say, why did they do that? How did they do that? Just say, it's their part.
इसका सच बोलने का पार्ट है.
It's so-and-so's part to tell lies. It's so-and-so's part to fight. It's so-and-so's part to tell the truth. It's so-and-so's part to stay peaceful. Don't see someone's part and get fluctuate.
एक रावण का पार्ट बजाता है, एक राम का.
In a play, somebody plays the part of Ravan, somebody plays the part of Rama. You don't say so-and-so is playing a wrong part. You just say they're playing their part.
वो ऐसे देखें जैसे
And so when we see each other's part, then just be a detached audience and say,
उसके पार्ट को
fine.
देख करके कभी रोना आ जाए, कभी हंसना आ जाए, माना
If I see someone's part and I start crying or I start laughing, it means that I'm not really watching the drama, but I'm involved in that person's part.
मुरलियाँ हम सबको
Baba's Gyan, Baba's Murlis
ये आत्माएं
gives us this understanding. Hey soul, you are playing a part. You are just playing a game. But be detached and play the game. Step back and
बाबा
watch.
की मुरलियों को गहराई से किसी ने स्टडी की है,
If anyone studied Baba's Murlis
कैसी
in
भी
depth,
परिस्थिति हो, कैसे
no
भी
matter
लोग
what the
हों,
type of situation, what type of people are in front of
ऐसा
them,
भी कोई कारण बने, लेकिन सबका उत्तर बाबा की मुरली बाबा के बच्चे के पास है.
whatever type of thing, there is an answer for
प्रश्नात्मक
it
बुद्धि
in the
बनती ही
Murli.
नहीं है, क्योंकि बाबा ने सब प्रश्नों का
The
समाधान
intellect doesn't even give have questions arise in it, because Baba's given all the answers. If I've studied the Murlis,
कोई भी दृश्य,
then
बहुत सारे दृश्य आए हैं.
many scenes have come in front of me, for example, even from my Lokic life, many test papers.
ऐसा क्यों?
But I've never asked the question, why? Why with me?
इसके साथ ऐसा क्यों?
Why with so-and-so?
ज्ञान समझ दी है बाबा ने, पढ़ाया इसलिए बच्चे सब होगा.
Baba has given us
देखो न्यारे
the
होके पास हो.
the knowledge, and he says, be detached and watch and pass.
आप लोग थे, सभी
And so if you study the Murli properly with love,
और बात
then these four things will also be in your attention. But then there's a fifth thing I'm going to tell you about as well. And then you can ask questions if you want.
सतयुग
Baba is establishing a family. In Satyug, the king and the subjects,
ऐसे परिवार के रूप में रहते, एक परिवार है.
it will be like a family. Just like there's one religion, there'll be one family.
दूसरा कोई अपना परिवार
It won't be Narayan's family will be another family, and then another family will be another family. Maybe there'll be two children in one particular
परिवार कहलाएगा.
small unit, but all all the subjects, everybody will consider themselves to be one family. Just like in Madhuban, you witness that all of us, 1,000 brothers and sisters, surrendered in all the three places. And what do we say? And we've got these little cards, and on the cards it says Father's names, Praja, Pita, Brahma. We say our new birth has been given to us by. We don't have a Lokik surname. Sometimes we need to use, our ID card. We need to use our Lokik names for official documents, but we don't have the awareness and the consciousness that we belong to that old caste and clan. But we're one family, we eat from one kitchen. And at the confluence age, if we don't become one, then we cannot come into the one family of Satyug. Be aware of this. Baba's Murli is establishing one family to get up together, walk together, sit together, support one another in times of sorrow and sadness and hardship, and move together, walk together, be together. That's what happens in a family. And only when we stay in the family, Parivar, will we be able to withstand the attack, the var of Maya. If someone removes themselves from the family, then they're not a Satyugi soul. No matter what the family is like, no matter what their sanskars are like, their family, and we belong to one. If someone does something wrong in the family, if someone makes a mistake in the family, you've got two sons, for example, in your family. One of them comes and does something wrong, having done something wrong. If the mother finds out, what does the mother say? She says, don't let the father find out, and she'll merge it. Because whatever happens within a family, you try to keep it inside the family, not spread it out. And so Baba also says you're one family, and so whatever weaknesses, mistakes, something happens, why do you talk about it and spread it? So-and-so did this. It means you haven't understood that they're not your family. But we are one family. The king and the subjects, they are one family in Satyug. 9 lakh is the beginning, and by the end of Treta, by the end of Silver Age, there is no disunity. We're still one family, and the foundation for that one family happens. The sapling happens now at the Sangam Yuga. So it doesn't matter what caste, what creed, whatever background we came from. This is our new birth. We will have one family. We eat together, we live together, we wear the same clothes, we have the same timetable. This is a family. This is family life. And Baba is establishing. That's why Baba says, offer bhog, have Brahma Bhojan, have picnics, laugh together, be together, eat together. This is also one of the purposes of the Murli. And in this family, our big mother is Brahma Baba, our sustaining mother is Jagadamba, and our father is Brahma Baba and Shiv Baba the grandfather, and we all are brothers and sisters. This is our family, no other relatives. And so if we move along as one family, then in Satyug, the new world that is to come, we will have one religion, one family, one kingdom. That's what we're establishing. And so this is the task, to establish all of this of us Brahmins. And now if you all have any questions, you can ask for the next little while. Bina can come up. Can somebody tell Bina she's on the front row?
कोई का प्रश्न है कुछ? हमारी बीना बहन जी ट्रांसलेशन मुझे करके सुनाएंगी. आप पूछिए. सेकंड क्वेश्चन सुन लो.
ओके, पहला प्रश्न ये है कि आपने शायद पहले
So the first question is,
वोल्केनिक स्टेज योग में ज्वाला में
you spoke about on another occasion about the volcanic stage of yoga. Could you share your experience or whatever you know about that? And the second question,
दूसरा प्रश्न ये है कि पहले 3 मुरलियाँ में ऐसे सुना था कि टोटल दुनिया की पॉपुलेशन 5.5 बिलियन तो 6 बिलियन.
we used to hear that the population was 5.5 billion, 6 billion, but what's the population now?
ठीक है. ये 3 प्रश्न जो आए हैं तीनों का मैं उत्तर देता हूँ. ये जो बहन जी ने प्रश्न किया कि मुरली की डेट चेंज हो जाती है क्योंकि
The third question was about the date of the Murli changes.
बाबा शाम को आते हैं, सवेरे की अलग मुरली होती है और सेंटर्स पर केवल एक मुरली जाती है, 2 मुरली नहीं जाती. उसको हम कट नहीं करते हैं, लेकिन संडे की अव्यक्त मुरली को कट करके उस दिन की मुरली संडे को भेजते हैं. जब तक बाबा के पार्ट चलते हैं तब तक ये चेंज होता है. बाबा का पार्ट मार्च में पूरा हो जाएगा, फिर अप्रैल से अक्टूबर तक की सेम डेट्स चलेंगी, उसमें डेट परिवर्तन नहीं होगा. लेकिन जब बाबा
Some of the Murlis, they don't match the dates in the world to what Murli is reading, and that's because during Baba's season,
हम संडे की मुरली जो रिवाइज होती है व्यक्त उसको कट करके वहाँ पर डालते हैं क्योंकि एक
we on
भेजते हैं. लेकिन लंदन से जो मुरलियाँ आती हैं वो सेम वहाँ भी जैसे मधुबन में चलता है ऐसे वहाँ चलता है. वहाँ पर
I'm actually not following what he's saying.
और हर सेंटर पर एक ही मुरली की डिमांड है. लाखों में मुरलियाँ छपती हैं. अगर हम एक मुरली बढ़ा देते हैं तो कहते हैं हम कहाँ सुनाएं, कब सुनाएं, क्योंकि एक ही मुरली चाहिए. तो हम 2 मुरली नहीं भेजते हैं, एक ही भेजते हैं. इसलिए डेट में थोड़ा सा
During the Avyakt season, the dates kind of get a bit mixed up because of Avyakt Baba coming, and so the Avyakt Murli is not actually sent to the centers. And now about the volcanic Murli, a volcanic stage is the stage of when our yoga is complete. Temples in India are made where there are volcano spots. And a volcanic stage is one in which there is consistent stage. The soul remains detached from the body consistently. It's not that there's fire coming out of me as I'm sitting in yoga, where there's an intense. The soul is actually, peaceful. But Baba's given this word volcano, that it's the light of the volcano remains constant, and so the soul should be constantly a light.
हम अभ्यास करते हैं निरंतर आत्मिक स्थिति और बाबा की याद.
And for this we have to practice to build up to it. And I have to be soul conscious and remember Baba. These are the preparations.
और साकार में जब तक बाबा थे
The population of the world is increasing. When Sakar Baba was around, it was
और आज हो
5 crore, 5.5 crore. And now the population is over 7
लिखे 500 करोड़ आबादी अभी है आज की डेट के अनुसार
7 billion.
700
And so that's why we have to revise the figures as well in the Sakar Murlis.
क्योंकि मुरली
Or these days we don't
में बदल गया
even,
तो हम उस मुरली को जब रिवाइज
we don't
तो बाबा के वो शब्द
put the population numbers in anymore.
हम डालें तो हम वो डेट डाल सकते हैं लेकिन रिवाइज डेट यहाँ नहीं है मुरली के अंदर इसलिए हम उसमें मेंशन नहीं करते उस समय 500 करोड़ थे अभी 700 करोड़
Because at the time that the Murli was related, that's what the population was.
इतनी ही
5.5 million.
बढ़ती जा रही है आबादी बढ़ रही है जनसंख्या बढ़ रही है इसलिए अभी हम कह नहीं सकते बाबा के घर में 700 करोड़ हैं या 800 करोड़ हैं जितनी यहाँ आएंगी वो हम लास्ट जब होगी तब जाना शुरू करेंगे अभी जा तो
And so we can't actually say what the population is, what the amount of Brahmins is. But when the souls start going back home, then you know that the population is still on the increase. And if souls are still coming down, the gate hasn't opened for heaven. Let's finish in Baba's remembrance.